In this video, I'm going to be philosophizing on solution-seeking skills. Solution-seeking skills are most meaningful to engage the cultivation of certain coping skills, identifying what certain problems are and or what's meaningful to solve the problem from drawing on existing prior experiences of certain meaningful similarities within the problem and or meaningful similarities that are directly and or indirectly connected to the problem and or the solutions to the problem. These are distinct and may involve distinct step-by-step approaches. First, one needs to identify and or define the problem, needing one to explore certain issues, to infer causations within the problem and or certain relationships that connect distinct component parts or processes within one's identification of certain problems. Yet, one may lack the appropriate self-knowledge and or self-awareness, needing to engage the meta-problem, which is what one needs to conduct in terms to fill in gaps in meaningful information to appropriately identify the problem. Another problem to the problem that is easier to solve than the problem itself, as one may read about the problem and or conduct a Google search identifying credible sources to be able to elaborate within one's self-knowledge and or self-awareness certain easier to identify and or engage crystal clarity within meaningful utterances of thought to think clearly on what certain variables are and or what they may be responsible for in terms of the problem you may be experiencing. And or you may seek out another individual who may have experientially encountered a meaningful similar problem to provide information that may allowance you to solve the problem and or disallowance the time you may waste and or effort attempting to engage certain next steps that may be inappropriate and or truly increase the intracategorical and or intercategorical ineffectivenesses and or inefficiencies most counterproductive to engaging what's meaningful for solution seeking. Perhaps the best approach to build one's intrinsic competencies is to engage trial and or error learning, to identify for oneself what certain component parts and or processes are responsible for and or attempt to solve the problem within proportionate explorations that engage the appropriate caution in terms of identifying potential risks and or hazards within the identification of other probabilistic problems, not improbabilistic and or impossible problems that are more likely to exacerbate one's experiences of stress, yet engage what is more likely to solve the problem from trial and error conducts that engage certain solutions and or probabilistic solutions one may brainstorm to build one's competencies future oriented to solve more meaningful similarities in terms of meaningful similar problems. Solution seeking is not the same as engaging creative problem solving per se. Yet, solution seeking may connect creative thinking to creative problem solving. Creative problem solving is an asset most meaningful to building appropriate solution seeking within uniquely trial and or error. Note that Googling something on Google about what a certain problem may be engages less creativity than had you engaged trial and error. Also, had you went to an individual whom solves the problem for you, there is truly very little creativity in this. Yet engaging trial and error within solution seeking allows more creative thinking that is more meaningful to connect distinct pathways within oneself that build one's competencies intrinsically, connecting more meaningful self-knowledge and or self-awareness to the conducts that solve the problem and or improve the intercategorical and or intracategorical effectivenesses and or efficiencies within the solution-seeking process, as one engages contextualizing of distinct related variables that one connects to certain inferences and causations to solve the problem and or elaborate in detailed communications what is most likely the issues and or what is most likely to work in terms of future-oriented identifications of problems and or providing communications. This is most meaningful to individuals in the workplace who may desire promotions, as one may more meaningfully communicate to other individuals who may experientially encounter certain problems, needing crystal clear, elaborate information in terms of what may one have learned uniquely within having engaged the trial and error learning, not merely going to another individual and or having them solve the problem and or being told what is needed to solve the problem, with less meaningful ability to optimize the intracategorical and or intercategorical effectivenesses and or efficiencies that is meaningful to build competence in not just the self, more over other individuals. That's all I want to say for this video. Hope you have an awesome one. Keep moving to this episode.